Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session today on Halloween. Happy Halloween to all who celebrate and all who just love this time of year. It's beautiful energy today. It's powerful energy. It's sacred in so many different cultures and in so many places for a reason. It's that time of transition here in this part of the world where our season is changing and moving into winter. And for that reason, it is a time of preparation, of change, of facing death. It is that Scorpio energy, that Scorpio time. And look how beautiful the stars have aligned in such a way that we are under that moon in Scorpio and under that sun in Scorpio on a new moon on Halloween. Just profound energy, deep, incredible, magical energy. Now is a time when you can truly go to the depths, right? You can truly face thyself. You can truly overcome and move. Scorpio energy, a lot of people have trouble with. You know, all of us are going to feel very restless. We're going to feel that energy in a really deep, profound way. But it is beautiful, right? Death is necessary, you know, and recognize too that the claws of Scorpio are the scales of Libra. Scorpio is connected to that Virgo. And when those signs are connected, that's the mother reborn. That is the birth of Plutos, of Horus, right? This coming together, this separation is the issue. We need to learn how to reconnect and learn how to be transformed by death. And so much about death is about going through that process of grieving. This has been something that's been coming up again and again and again on the stream, especially through the sortes. And it came up today when I was doing my meditation. Funny enough, when I was meditating this morning and I was drawing on my cards, I got that death energy. Death energy. I had it a few days ago. To see it again so soon is wild. And then again on Samhain, on Halloween, on that All Saints Day, right? The time when we all, or many of us, connect to that past, to our lost loved ones, engage in the process of grieving, go through that act of remembrance, of connection, you know. But it's important that we understand what this connection is and that we don't engage in toxic nostalgia. We don't wish for a past that cannot be, right? What was past cannot be the same again. Then the river is always changing. That doesn't mean that you cannot visit the past, that the past is not sacred, that the past does not have so much to teach, have so much to give. It doesn't mean that we, by saying farewell, we let them go. No, we imagine them into the future with us. We transform with them. We grow with them. We overcome, right? We are all in this together. And we will all go through those dark cycles. You know, we will all face our new moon, our Scorpio, our death. This is just a fact of life. And we will all be reborn again because that extreme begets the positive. And with death, there is a rebirth, a new beginning, right? A new transformation. A new sun is born. So we need to learn how to let go of the past and let it be in the past and reimagine what our future could be. You know, learning to grieve, learning to say farewell, and learning to accept things, but also learning to transform and imagine a greater future. You know, we don't give up that connection to the past, but we also don't want to allow that past to define our present or our future. It's the past for a reason. It's the past for the reason, you know. What was Orpheus told when he descended to the depths of the underworld to retrieve Eurydice? And that Eurydice, if you read the story and you look to the language, they are referring to the Kori. They are referring to the Kori, right? It's the same energy. He's trying to bring that Corey back from the dead, but he fails in doing so because he looks back. He looks back. You're not supposed to look back. You're supposed to imagine her into the future. You're supposed to trust in her resilience, not doubt. Believe and project forward. By looking back and doubting, that's why there was a failure, right? The magic is about bringing the dead into the future. That's how you resurrect the dead. The cycle goes forward, right? Let us continue. Okay. Well, actually, I want to read you guys a poem by Madison Julius Kawine called Death in Life. Within my veins it beats and burns within my brain. For when the year is sad and sear, I dream the dream again. Ah, over young I am, God knows. Yet in this sleep more pain and woe than women know, I know, and doubly deep. 7 towers of shaggy rock rise red to ragged skies, built in a marsh that black and harsh to dead horizon lies. Eternal sunset pours around its warlock towers, a glowing urn where garnets burn with fire dripping flowers, or bat-like turrets high stretched in a scarlet line. The crimson cranes through rosy rains drop like a ruby wine. Once in the banquet hall, these scarlet storks are heard. I sit at broad with men o' the sword and knights of noble word. Cased all in silver mail, but he I love and fear in glittering gold beside me bold sits like a love near. Wild music echoes in the hollow towers there, behind bright bars, o'er his visor stars, beam in his eyes and glare. Wild music oozes from arched ceilings, caked with white groined pearl, and floors like mythic shores that sing to seas of light. Wild music in a feast, and one's beloved near in burning mail. Why am I pale? So pale with grief and fear. Red heavens and slaughtered red, the marsh to west and east. 7 silts of sky, 7 casemates high, flare on the blood-red feast. Our torches tall are these, our 7 regal torches that spill from gold soft splendors old the hour of night 11. No word, the sparkle aches in cups of diamond spar that prism the light of ruddy white in royal wines of war. No word, rich plate that raise splashes of splitting fires of beryl brims while sobs and swims enchantment of lost lyres. I lean to him I love and in the silence say, would thy dear grace reveal thy face if Lud should crave and pray? Grave silence, like a king, at that strange feast is set. Grave silence, still as the soul's will that rules with reason yet. But when I speak, behold, the charm is snapped for lo, speaks out the mask his golden cask. At midnight it be so. And silent waits severe, till one sonorous tower, owl swarmed, that looms in glaring glooms, sounds slow the midnight hour. 3 strokes, the knights arise, the palsy from them flung, to meward mock like some hoarse rock when wrecking waves give tongue. 6 strokes, and wailing out the music hoots away, the fiery glimmer of eve dies dimmer, the red grows ghostly gray. 9 strokes, and dropping mold, the crumbling hall is lead. The plate is rust, the feast is dust, the banqueters are dead. 12 strokes, pound out and roll. The huge walls writhe and shake, or hissing things with taloned wings. Christ Jesus, let me wake. Then rattling in the night, his iron visor slips, and rotting mail, a death's head pale, kisses my loathing lips. To hell fierce lusts its eyes, sharp pointed like a knife, that flaming seems to say, no dream, thus the truth of life. Wow. Thus, the truth of life. Grave silence, like a king. Wild. Happy Halloween. Gotta love it. All right. We are now going to go to our sortes. And today we are going to begin with Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. For those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy. That is divination through literature. And it comes to us from that Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the spirits of we invoke the divinities of inspiration, the divine muses, and we ask them to send us an inspiring message through the text. So, muses, what is the message from Milton? Inspire us this evening. Alike to serpents, all are as accessories to his bold riot. Dreadful was the din of hissing through the hall, thick swarming now with complicated monsters, head and tail, scorpion and asp, Amphibona dire, Carastus horned, Hydrus, and Elops dryer, and Dipsas. Whoa! Not so thick swarmed once the soil bedropped with blood of Gorgon, or the isle Ophiusa, but still great is he, the midst now dragon grown, larger than whom the sun engendered in the Pythian veil on slime, huge Python, and his powers no less he seemed above the rest still to retain. They all followed him, or they all him followed, issuing forth to open field, where all yet left of that revolted rout, heaven fallen, in station stood or just array, sublime with expectation went to see, in triumph issuing forth their glorious chief. They saw but other sight instead, a crowd of ugly serpents, horror on them fell, and horrid sympathy for what they saw. They felt themselves now changing down their arms, down fell both spear and shield, down they as fast, and the dire hiss renewed, and the dire form catch by contagion, like in punishment, as in their crime. Wow, that was an insanely long sentence and also crazy. Let me read this back. Okay. Alike to serpents, all as accessories to his bold riot. All are mere playthings to the serpent, to his rioting. Dreadful was the din of hissing through the hall, thick, swarming now with complicated monsters, head and tail, scorpion and asp, Amphibona dire, Carastes horned, Hydrus, and Elops deer. These are all kinds of snakes, and dipsas. Not so thick swarmed once the soil bedropped with blood of Gorgon, or the isle Ophiusa, but still great is he, the midst, now dragon grown, larger than whom the sun engendered in the Pythian veil on slime, huge Python, and his power no less he seemed above the rest to retain. They all him followed, issuing forth to the open field, where all yet left of that revolted rout, heaven fallen, in station stood or just array, sublime with expectation went to see in triumph, issuing forth their glorious chief. They saw but other sight instead, a crowd of ugly serpents, horror on them fell in horrid sympathy. For what they saw, they felt themselves now changing. Down their arms, down fell both spear and shield. Down they as fast, and the dire hiss renewed, and the dire form catched by contagion, like in punishment, as in their crime. Wow. And all these people who engaged in this battle with on the side of Python are turned into snakes. They all become snakes, like a contagion. Wild. That Gorgon blood that turns people into snakes. All right, let's continue. All right. 10 plays by Euripides. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Euripides? Inspire us this evening. Oh, treachery! I had my eyes covered with a fine spun veil, and I did not take my brother in arms, that brother who has now perished. Oh, treachery! I had my eyes covered with a fine spun veil, and I did not take my brother in arms, that brother who has now perished. Through willful blindness, she did not take her brother, and then he died. And then he died. How wild is that? Do you blind yourself? Do you refuse to look? Do you refuse to take responsibility? Do you see a death that could be prevented by action and instead hide behind a veil, whether of morality or of another lens, ideological, religious, what have you? Do you see things as they are? Does the way you think about the world cause you to not help a brother in need? Interesting. All right. Let's continue. The Stranger, Albert Camus. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Albert Camus? Naturally, I gripped Raymond's gun inside my jacket. Then he lay back again, but without taking his hand out of his pocket. I was pretty far away from him, about 10 meters or so. I could tell he was glancing at me now and then through half-closed eyes. A standoff. He knows you have the weapon concealed. And there's a standoff, a glare. Wildness, right? That sight is an act of violence in many ways. And you're seeing that violence come to a head. And the merest slight of action, the power of a gun is so wild, right? Because you can just react. And how many of us would just react? Don't know what we're doing. You see that gaze and you react. What we saw is someone who had the strength not to react, but they were still seen under that gaze, under that threat, and they have that hand there. They have that hand there on that weapon, a weapon that's not even theirs. Wow, interesting. All right. We are now going to go to Lewis Carroll, Alice, Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Carroll? Inspire us this evening. Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. I'm immediately confronted with Frogs by Aristophanes. Nothing beats the love of homemade soup. Nothing takes you back to that moment of pleasure. Dionysus uses this to recognize Hercules. Beautiful soup. And what is the soup but a mixture? It's that Saturnian magic. You're cutting everything up, you're putting it in, and you're allowing it to be mixed and brewed into the waters to become what? Something that sustains life and produces generation. something that sustains you. There's no greater magic than that. Mixing and bubbling magic, exactly. Exactly. Right? And that is the magic of that Seder magic, that satire, cutting things up and putting on the plate, that Dionysus magic, that invoking of the random, that allows new forms to come forward, new ideas, new creations, new power in that soup. We once were all soup, right? Think about it. What does the butterfly become before it turns, or what does the caterpillar become before it turns into a butterfly? But soup. Interesting. Fun. I love it. Okay. We're going to go to Edgar Allan Poe, The Telltale Heart and Other Tales. Muses, what is the message from Poe? Inspire us. We made a kind of drag by driving some nails which we broke out from the remains of the companion hatch into two pieces of wood. Tying these across each other and fastening them to the end of a rope, we threw them into the cabin and dragged them to and fro, in the faint hope of being thus able to entangle some article which might be of use for food, or which might at least render us assistance in getting it. Fishing. They're going fishing in the dark, looking for anything, lashing out with that claw, hoping to catch something that'll aid and sustain them. We are all but fishers in the darkness, trying to just get by, right? Wow. We're going to do now Lord Byron, selected poetry and letters. Muses, what is the message from Byron? Inspire us. There is power upon me which withholds and makes it my fatality to live. If it be life to wear within myself this barrenness of spirit, and to be my soul's sepulture, for I have ceased to justify my deeds unto myself, the last infirmity of evil. Wow. There is a power upon me which withholds and makes it my fatality to live. There's a power within me which withholds. I'm still bound to the earth, and it makes it my fatality to live. Fatality to live, because there is only death in this cycle. If you can escape this cycle, then you are beyond death. Fatality to live. If it be life to wear within myself this barrenness of spirit, and to be my own soul's sepulture. If it be life to wear within myself this barrenness of spirit. Barrenness of spirit. Wow. And to be my own soul's sepulture. For I have ceased to justify my deeds unto myself. For he has ceased to justify his deeds unto himself. He's now recognizing he is in this cycle of self-destruction, and yet he still goes in. And what does he calls this? The last infirmity of evil. For I have ceased to justify my deeds unto myself, the last infirmity of evil. What truly turns someone into evil is when they no longer seek justification. They simply act of their own will. They don't care about what anyone thinks anymore. Wow. Interesting. Okay, let's continue. We are going to go now to Sylvia Plath. the bell jar. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Sylvia Plath? Inspire us. You're a lucky girl today. The young nurse cleared my breakfast tray away and left me wrapped in my white blanket, like a passenger taking the sea air on the deck of a ship. Wow, you are a lucky girl today. And we're immediately given that image of a nymph on the sea, right? The young nurse cleared away my breakfast tray and left me wrapped in a white blanket, like a passenger taking the sea air on the deck of his ship. A young girl wrapped in white, cared for by a nurse on a voyage in the sea air. That's that Aphroditic image if I ever saw one. You know what I think this message is? It's about recognizing where we're at, right? Recognizing the beauty in our own life. You're a lucky person today. You know, you are blessed. You have that life and that love. You are here listening and engaging in community. And that is beyond beautiful. You're taking a voyage across the sea, across the universe of flow, down that Rhea. Beautiful. Love it. All right. We are going to do one final sortes. We're going to go to a sinister assassin and tone in our toe. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from our toe? Inspire us this evening. Because human beings have never been able to make deals with anything other than impurity, impiety, injustice, and acts of assassination. It's already so difficult to be pure, but when you have to be pure in confrontation with the generalized ill will amassed entirely in league against you, and which does everything it can by means of force to confine you within evil, all that becomes a desperately difficult task. Wow. Because human beings have never been able to make deals with anything other than impurity, impiety, injustice, and acts of assassination. That mob, that violence, right? It's already so difficult to be pure, but when you have to be pure in confrontation with generalized ill will, when you have to be pure in the face of that greater will, that greater society, that greater nation, greater ideology, whatever it is, amassed entirely in league against you, and which does everything it can by means of force to confine you within evil. Within evil, to confine you within evil. That tyrant energy, that tyrannical energy. All that becomes a desperately difficult task. Wow. Intense energy here, you know, recognizing the difficulty of the path ahead in the fortune that Fortuna has raised her sword against you. But this is also a fact of life. Fortuna will come for us all. And it is about how we face her that defines us, right? It is that force that stood against our toe that made our toe the Momo. That made our toe the Momo. As painful as that transformation was, right? No one goes through these great experiences to be transformed and to create beautiful art without experience, without trauma, without that challenge. You got to rise against that force. You adapt, right? What is the one message that the Great Mother, the universe, nature itself calls out to us all? Adapt or die. Be remade and be transformed. That which fails to adapt will be broken and made into something that does. Made into something that does. You have to rise to the occasion. Find a way. All right. Oof. Intense. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. We are now going to go to our. We didn't do our Ganapati Oracle. We're going to go to our Ganapati Oracle. All right. Ganesha Ganapati is the divine child, the Lord of beginnings, the guardian of the thresholds, and the master of spirits, Ganas. We ask them to send us a message and to ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. So, Ganapati, what is the message? Oh, we're getting a couple here. Childlike expression. Be candid. Don't these work so well together? Wow. When faced with this death energy, we have to face it like children, being reborn, approaching a newness of life, right? It's not about, again, it's not about the death, but it's about where are you going? It's about what are you going to be? Who are you? What is true, right? As you transform, you have to project yourself forward. You have to engage with life with that full energy, taking that youthful leap into the unknown, right? Exploring, confronting the other, and being transformed by that confrontation, and being honest and open, being honest and open. Learning to be in that energy of desire, right? What do you want? Where are you going? Where do you imagine yourselves? You know, be in that body, in that self, and figure these things out, right? Don't define yourself with what came before, but try to imagine where you want to go and how you get there into that great future. You learn from the past. All right. Let us continue. Yeah, know thyself always, right? Know thyself. There's a reason why that was written in the halls of Eleusis by Femino, the Pythia herself. Know thyself and know the universe. All right. We are now going to go to the tarot proper, to our Tabula Mundi tarot. I wanted to get it right. I keep saying it wrong. Tabula Mundi by, what was the author? M.M. Moline. M.M. Moline. This is the book M, Liber Mundi. The tarot is called Tabula Mundi. All right. And we are going to invoke that energy of Saturn. And we are going to ask them to dissect our life, to cut it up and expose it upon the plate, to show us our interconnections. And we ask, how can we rise above the conflicts? How can we best move and flow? How can we manifest our true will? And what is the greater message for our community? And as always, that center card is the most important card. And today's center is Two of Swords, peace. Being at peace. What better energy for this, for the death and for farewell and for embracing transformation than learning to be at peace with the duality of life, with the two phases, the light and the dark, life and death, in that balance, in that flow, in that peace. Hail Heskia, right? Daughter of Dike, the bringer of peace. Beautiful energy. And look, we have the scales as well of Libra, balance, moving in flow, expanding our perspectives through the experience of the other. Knowledge through experience, through coming together to create a greater picture in harmony. Wow. Where's this going? What is this two bringing us? Beautiful energy, the Knight of Wands. I love to see this energy. The Knight of Wands is that mature, outgoing actor, right? That person who pursues their desire, who pursues their will, who has the capability to manifest what they want and is strong enough to go out and pursue it. What we're being told here is that now is a time when we need to approach the life in this form as that mature person who pursues that fiery passion and is at peace with the world around them. You know, the biggest issue that this knight usually has is he's so capable, right? Has so much power in that fire, doesn't think things through and acts. But we have that balance of the peace. We have perspective. We can move and flow, right? Recognize the sovereignty of everyone else, manifest in harmony, build something that will help all of us. Beautiful. Become that defender rather than that warrior. Let's continue. Beautiful, beautiful energy connecting to that Empress, that divine feminine in all of her totality, that pure creative energy, nature in its most creative, life-giving form, you know? And about recognizing that feminine in its all of its diversity and its multiplicity. This energy creates that multiplicity. It manifests in many names, in many faces, in many differences, right? What is that knight pursuing? The knight is pursuing that connection with the muse, with that nature, with that creatrix, with that Venus, yeah, right? To connect with her, you must be at peace and in harmony. You must be in flow. You must listen to the muses and move in flow, move in harmony, right? That knight likes to manifest their will, likes to knock things down in order to pursue that desire. That peace is about moving in flow. You can't be knocking stuff down, you know? To connect to her, you got to be in that subtle energy. You have to be embodied. You have to be able to hear the silence. Okay, let's continue. What comes out of this piece? The building of the tower, the Ace of Discs, new manifestation, new creation in that physical reality. And recognize the Ace is about that planning, it's about imagining. The Ace must reflect the tower. We've been talking about this throughout this sortes, throughout the title. What are you building? Where's your future? Where are you going? Now is the time for imagining, for manifesting, for planning. So much of magic is about creating. It's the plan before the plan. It's the art that inspires action, right? And this is where we're going, to build something tangible in that physical reality. And this is our wish coming true as we connect to that Venus, Aphrodite Comeso, beautiful, the mother of Pleiades, that Alcyone, powerful, powerful energy, Asterope, right? This is about doing the rights now, recognizing that what you do now and the actions you do now will create that future, that Ace of Discs, right? When we see that star, we are called to cry out and to ask, to create, to manifest that desire. You have to be in that loving adoration with that creatrix, with the universe, right? First, you learn to flow and move in peace. First, first you embody in yourself what you desire. Then you harmonize with the universe around you. You pursue that muse, that nature, that creatrix. You imagine where this is going, and then you ask for it. You wish upon a star. You go out under the moon and you draw her down. It's a new moon. Now is the perfect time to draw down that star. There is no better moment than tonight. Make a wish. Build your tower. Where's this going? What is inspiring all this energy? We've seen this before this in the last few days. The Five of Cups, painful energy, energy of disappointment, of loss, when people that we love do not show up for us, right? When they fall short, when they do not have love to give and we have nothing to receive. You know, it signifies a loss, a deep, profound loss. How do we transform, though, that Five of Cups? How do we get out of that disappointment energy? We do so through connection, through manifesting and creating that loving community that will sustain us, right? And it's about learning from these losses, transforming these losses, that magic of the grief we've talked about. You know, sometimes our greatest loss, our greatest disappointment, our greatest failures are what spur us into creative action, that call us to cry out and to do something different, to try, to imagine something new, right? When faced with the disappointment, we build the tower. And when we build the tower and we wish, we will transform that 5 into the 6. We will gain that pleasure of reciprocal flow and loving support. Let's continue. Now, this is beautiful. We have the 2 of Cups. Love. Love. This is where, wow, that peace, that harmony that we are seeking, it comes when we pursue and find love, right? That peace comes from that new perspective that is gained when 2 minds come together in unity and they reflect each other, right? And each one provides that mirror for the other so that they can see themselves in loving reflection and they can work together to create something greater, something in harmony, right? Beautiful, profound energy. And look, we have that love, we have that peace, the coming together in harmony, the sharing of perspectives, right? And what comes out of it is the creation of the tower, the building of that temple. Wow. The Prince of Discs. This is beautiful energy. That divine child. What comes out of this project of love, that 2 of Cups? You give birth to the divine child, the Prince of Cups. New energy in that earth, right? Young, immature energy that needs to be nurtured, that needs to be engaged with, right? The Prince of Earth is always that energy of being in the air, of thinking of all these high mystical things, but yet being bound in the earth. And it's about learning to transform that prince into a mature actor who can truly work and transform his world. You know, often this energy, because it is so high up in the clouds, it can be taken advantage of. Where's this love going? Let's see here. This is about gaining new perspective and gaining that maturity, learning how to become that mature actor, to evolve into that knight, right? And we do so through that love, through gaining that new perspective, through imagining who we will be, where we are going, how we get there, right? Transforming that Prince of Discs into, right, that mature knight. And we do it through that pursuit of love and through new ideas, a balancing again of ideas, right? Finding that middle way. Beautiful. All right. I'm now going to flip my camera and we're going to take a look at the full spread. And please, once again, give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm. I would really appreciate it. Good Halloween karma. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, reach out. Snappy, ddts@gmail.com. All right, let's start here with the Knight of Wands. Yeah, this part of the wish fulfillment, part of the manifestation is becoming that Knight of Wands, the one who can manifest their will. We've been talking about this again and again with this energy of the Knight, and that Prince, they're trying to build, they have lofty ideas, but there's growth that needs to happen, maturity that needs to happen. So what we're seeing is when we engage with that muse, that Aphrodite Kometho, that Venus energy, when we call down the star and we pursue this, we will be transformed into that Knight by the very nature of our desire, right? By the very nature of our desire. By engaging in this way and engaging in the rites and the actions, we will embody that mature actor of the Knight. So the call here is to engage with that muse and be transformed through that loving action, right? In order to connect with her, you must embody that mature actor, that one who can be in that adoration. And no one is in greater adoration than the Knight of Wands. It's about where they direct that energy. If you direct it towards that Venus, you can transform the universe. We talked about this middle, and it's so beautiful, right? The combination of shared perspectives, the coming together in loving harmony, builds the tower, creates that energy to transform and to manifest in the earth. And it needs to be a shared coming together in peace and harmony, in equal perspectives, as a product of that love. Wow. We overcome this disappointment when we connect to that divine feminine, to the nature, to that muse, to that great mother. And we learn to understand the nature of this disappointment. When we see things in different light, in cycles, when we learn to, again, take these traumatic experiences and use them to manifest that energy, to have the strength to draw down that star and to manifest the tower, right? We take that disappointment, and this allows us to see in new perspectives. It forces us to change because we need to connect to her, right? We're feeling this disappointment because we're not embodied in the earth, which is in that proper flow. And we are not seeing things clearly because we've been hurt. We've experienced that disappointment. We overcome this, though, when we connect to the body, when we connect to nature, when we think about things in a new perspective, in a new light. All right. Let's look at our cross. Yeah. This Prince energy really needs this peace energy. That youthful person has a real hard time with the disappointment, with feeling like their natural energy, the earth, is barren around them, And you overcome that disappointment, and you can grow past this energy of the priest and become that Knight when you can be at peace with your past, with those disappointments, right? With those failures. But you have to learn to say farewell, right? To let them go, to ask and be reborn anew. You have to transform and willingly let it go to become that Knight. Wow. And then, we look here. When we are in peace, that's when we can manifest that new entire perspective, right? When we can have the ability to connect to that muse and engage with this magic of wish fulfillment, of connecting to that divine flow in pure love, to have our dreams realized. And we do that when we're in peace. when we can see things from multiple perspectives, when we can listen to that body and to the nature, right? When we can pursue stuff for ourselves, but in that mature way, right? In that mature way that will also help others, you know? We have to learn to see things in a new light and take those actions to manifest a new reality. And all of this will come from the love, from the peace. And together, these energies manifest the Ace of Discs, right? The Knight of Wands and the Empress come together, right? In love, at peace, to manifest the disc. You know, this is what we are doing. And it's all about that shared perspective, that balance of love. It's all about connecting to that muse, imagining a new way, having the strength to try what's different, believing that you can overcome the past disappointments, that you can grow from this energy of the prince and become that knight, that you can see things with new light. All right, everyone, that's the message. I hope it resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. All right, we're going to do one final sword taste and then we will call it an evening. Let's see here. We are going to go to Don Juan in Hell by Bernard Shaw. All right. Muses, what is the message from Bernard Shaw? Inspire us. Then may I ask, Commander, why you have left heaven to come here and wallow, as you express it, in sentimental beatitudes which you confess would once have driven you to cut your throat? Then may I ask, Commander, why you have left heaven to come here and wallow? Why did you come here to wallow, as you express it, in sentimental beatitudes which you confess would once have driven you to cut your throat? We see this a lot from spiritually inclined people, you know. We often express all of this stuff that appears like nothing but sentimentality to people who don't care, you know, or they see it as preaching, and often it is preaching, and that's not needed in many ways. It's not needed, you know. Oof. Wild energy, right? Why are you even here judging the rest of us? Why aren't you pursuing that heavenly climb? You know, that's the message. All right, everyone. Peace and love. Thank you so much. And I hope I see you again tomorrow for more live tarot and sword tastes. Happy Halloween. Go out under the moon, remember, and think of your ancestors. Be in love. Take care.